Shout out to Baby Smack.
Neighborhood.
In part 6, we're gonna briefly touch on the Rollin 50s, Neighborhood Crips.
Kev Mac video, you know this is for sure. Kev Mac video, open your soul, represent your ghetto, baby. Kev Mac video, you know this is for sure. Kev Mac video, open your soul, represent your ghetto, baby. For the dime moves and the lokes, for the 6-4s on spokes, for the OGs that did a dime, came back around on parole, for the homegirls with the scrap game, little homies that gang bang, from Pelican Bay to YA, rearrange your mind frame. Yeah, I know what you been through, shit you had to go tend to. Your mama gave birth on the turf, I know them killers you kin to. This for the lost generation, broke as hell, mad and impatient. But if you know your history, you can't have a strong foundation, baby. Kev Mac video, you know this is for sure. Kev Mac video, open your soul, represent your ghetto, baby. Kev Mac video, you know this is for sure. Kev Mac video, open your soul, represent your ghetto, baby.
The Rollin 50s are a predominantly African American street gang located on the west side of South Los Angeles. They're located between Vermont and Western and 54th Street to 59th Street. The 50s history can be a little complex because it consists of many moving parts, some related, some unrelated, but each set has its own unique history. Going back to the early 1970s, much of this turf was known as home to the 5-6 syndicates, one of several early Crip gangs on the west side. In the early 1980s, you had the Catwalk Crips. The Catwalks ran from 48th Street to 54th Street between Western Avenue and Normandy Avenue. Centered around 51st Street, we refer to this as the 50s. The Catwalk Crips are said to be started by a guy named Shaky, heavily influenced by the Rollin 60s with names such as Shoes, Worm, Easy Low, White Boy, and a host of others. In the mid-80s, south of 54th Street, you had the Big Time Hustlers. Also around that time, the 5-8s were heavily influenced by the Rollin 60s. The 5-8s are predominantly African American, not far from John Muir Middle School, sandwiched between the 6 Deuce Brims and Slauson Avenue, between Vermont and Normandy. They patterned themselves after guys like Muggs and Teaspoon and Baby Rock, all members of the Rollin 60s during those times. The kids on 58th Place knew one thing: they wanted to be Crips. And they went through identity crisis, 5-8 Instate, 5-8 Block, until finally settling on 5-8 Neighborhood Crip. Big Time Hustlers would eventually turn Hoover, 5-5, and 5-7 Neighborhood Crip. The 5-5s are centered around Dinker and 55th between Western Avenue and Normandy Avenue. just east of the V&Gs and not too far from the Slauson swap meet. One of the founders of 5-5 was originally a Rollin 50, and some of the others had kin to the 60s. Names like Snaps, Nutso, Whack Wiz, Flintstone, Twin, and Zoe, just to name a few originals. They would turn Neighborhood Crip in or about 1988. The 5-5 Neighborhood Crips shared the same enemies as the Rollin 60s. One guy in particular from this set made it to social media stardom, Kev Mac. The 5-7 Neighborhood Crips are a predominantly African American street gang next door to the 5-5s and the 5-8s, formerly known as the 5-7 Hustlers. Their borders are roughly Normandy Avenue to Vermont Avenue, from 55th Street to Slauson Avenue. Shortly after the 5-5s turned neighborhood, the 5-7s joined the ranks of the Neighborhood Alliance. Lil Morrock from Rollin 50s is often credited with turning 5-7 to Neighborhood Crips. After several indifferences within the Neighborhood Crip car, the 50s came together as one somewhere around the new millennium. Today, the 50s are 5-5, 5-7, and 5-8 Neighborhood Crips. We want to thank you guys for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for some of the other Neighborhood Crip sets as we touch on those just a little bit, not in much great detail. If you can appreciate this content and you're not a hater, bang that like button one time. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe.
This is Austin.